What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Green Goblin Mary Jane Watson 2-pack from the VHS line. Let's check it out.
Now tuning into the Encountered Culture.
Anyway, stop being me, place. Counter-culture, it's in your face. Fun to pretend that you want it to end. I'd rather be drinking with my friends. When we go out, you never see us again.
As promised, today we are going to be looking at the Green Goblin Mary Jane Watson VHS 2-pack. Well, let's see what's going on. Alright, so obviously we continue down the road of the VHS packs. This one continuing what we've been seeing. So you get the nice animated series artwork on the front. Flip it to the side. There are your VHS style tapes. So you got Green Goblin, Mary Jane Watson, Marvel Legends. Flip it to the back. There are your renders of your figures. Actually, these might be pictures of the figures, but there you go. So there's what you got. You got Green Goblin, you got Mary Jane Watson. You got lots of important information at the bottom down there. Flip it to this side. This is what you get. So you do get the animated series logo, Marvel Comics, Green Goblin, and Mary Jane Watson. A nice picture from the animated series as well. All right, let's take a look at a couple of these boxes next to each other. There you go. So it almost feels like the 90s. Look at all that nostalgic glory there. So looks like a classic tape collection that I would have had coming up back in the day. So there you go. That's what we are looking at so far. Coming fresh out the box, this is a good 2-pack, especially if you've been collecting these VHS ones up to this point. Again, like they don't make sense, right? Like in the Spider-Man, Symbiote Spider-Man, Carnage 2-pack, they're cell shaded. In the Doc Ock Aunt May 2-pack, Doc Ock has some cell shading. In this pack, there's absolutely none. I have no idea what the goal is with this VHS line, and it's all over the place. But you know what? They've had some cool packaging, and the figures have been decent. So let's take a look at these two. Alright, so first up we'll go with Mary Jane. This is probably one that some people have been waiting for. I know a lot of people have been waiting for a Green Goblin because the other one, the retro carded one, which we'll take a look at later, has really just gone up in price. So this is going to be your cheaper alternative. But first we'll look at Mary Jane. So, nice figure. You got pinless on her. She's got, flat boots, so she's easier to stand. She doesn't have any heels. I like that. Let's see. Elbows. We are single jointed on the elbows, so you will be a little bit limited as far as that's concerned. And then, of course, you have these like weird old shoulders. Arm will go up just about so. It'll come out just like that. And back all the way. So, not terrible. For the wrist, you do have the front and back pivot there. Same all around. All the hands are the same. Upper torso. So you do get, full range of motion. You can go all the way around. With the head, same thing. All the way around. She'll look down. Pretty nice. Looks down pretty far. Looking up, though, obviously with the hair, always going to limit you as far as looking up is concerned. Moving down to the leg, well, first, so it looked like you might have had some swivel here, but you don't. So nothing at the waist there. Upper thigh swivel, of course, down to the knee. So you do have double jointed pinless knees, so that works pretty well. And, you even get a little calf swivel at the top of the boot there. And then the ankle pivot is as such. Nice face sculpt. It's got, it's obviously from the animated series, so it looks a little bit more animated. So it's definitely appropriate to what I think they were trying to capture. And then, she is as pictured on the box there. So pretty decent job. No wash in the hair or anything like that. And of course, like I said, no cell shading on either of these figures. For your size comparison, I do have her backed up against the retro carded Gwen Stacy, which did come with an alternate Mary Jane head. So if that's something that you have in your display using as Mary Jane, that's what you have as far as the size comparison goes. The VHS Mary Jane looks just a little bit taller than this retro card version of Gwen Stacy with the alternate head. Taking a look at Green Goblin here, off the bat, I think it looks decent. This is definitely a great option for anybody who needed a Green Goblin in their collection and didn't want to shell out the price for the retro card or the even older Legends version of Green Goblin. We'll take a look at the retro carded one later, but for a quick comparison, here is a picture of the original release from the Marvel Legends line of Green Goblin. That one has also gone way up in price, so it's maybe not the perfect version that anybody's been looking for, and also not an updated version per se. So the question there is, like, if you're going to do a new Green Goblin, why not give us what the next iteration of Green Goblin will be? You know, all new parts, all new sculpting, whatever, and then just sell it to us again in a couple of years. That seems like that would have been the right move to do, but here we are on a bunch of reuse parts. Some things like don't match, like the bottom part of the costume is a totally different color here. All the joints are super gummy, so that I'm not a fan of that. It really kind of takes away from the figure itself. The good parts, though, the face sculpt looks a lot better in person than I thought it was gonna. I thought it was gonna look really weird. I can't say the same for the Norman Osborn head, but at least the Green Goblin face, like, this looks pretty cool. I actually think they did a really nice job on that. You do get this bag that we've seen a few times, but in green. I think, honestly, what really drove me to buy this was this glider, because this is a nice looking version of the glider. So I might just use this for a lot of different parts, right? So I think I'll use this bag to go with a Mary Jane that I have in my collection. You can always use extra pumpkin bombs, so that's always a plus. But all right, back to the figure, right? So like I said, definitely super gummy in the elbows. Knees are a little bit better, but not by much. You can see, like, yeah, just get that in there. But yeah, so the head's new, right? So you can look down about that far. You can look back, look up that far. So this doesn't really hinder you as much as you might think it would. And then, of course, you get a lot more. You can go all the way around. You know what? This face reminds me more of, like, the Maximum Overdrive, you know, truck front. So it does have, like, that nice sort of quality to it. Again, I mean, I really do like this head sculpt. It's just everything else is not that great. All right, taking a look at the Osborn head. So I will say this: it's not as bad as, like, a lot of the early pictures and the renderings looked. The lip shade is much more subtle than what it initially appeared like it was going to be. So it's not the worst. I don't know that it's, like, super upgrade from the previous Norman Osborn head. Obviously you do get, like, a lot more of the new detailing in there, so you can see some of the benefits of it, but is it the preferred one? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I'm not thinking I'm gonna be using this for anything, so I guess we'll see down the line. As far as the glider is concerned, so of course, like, remember the Hobgoblin, right? We got the Hobgoblin that came in on the retro card. It didn't have the pointed toes, so that glider just is terrible with that figure. They didn't make the same mistake on this one. They made a little bit bigger of a glider. You got the pointed toes, so it stays on there. I mean, obviously you're not going to be doing that in your collection, but you get the point. So the glider, definitely an upgrade from the Hobgoblin version, and it's different than the one we got with the retro Green Goblin. Like I said, this was kind of one of the driving points. I just thought this was a better glider, so I will certainly be using this in the collection. We'll see about this. I don't know. So here we have Green Goblin backed up against the retro carded Green Goblin from a few years ago, just to get an idea of what you're looking at regarding the new one. So you can see there are a few parts that are reused here, but this has a lot of reuse from probably the Hobgoblin and what looks like Sleepwalker. So a little bit different. Doesn't have the scaling on there. So if you weren't a big fan of that, maybe you like the smoother one. Obviously the mask part is a little bit different, so this is thicker for sure. The ears are a little bit smaller on the new one, and the eyes not as pronounced as the retro carded one, which was a big complaint for people when that came out. But now you all want it, so I guess time does have that effect on some things. So just a nice little snapshot of the two figures backed up against each other. And then, of course, there are your gliders down at the bottom there. So the silver one being fairly dull, that was from your retro card, and then the new one from the VHS. One side note that I just bothers me is, like, I wish that they would give us something like this. You know, we've seen this a couple of times, right? That ported into these gliders. You know, we have multiple gliders at this point, but nothing like this. And they could have, you know, given this to us a few times already had that actually worked out. But just wanted to point that out. Alright folks, so there you have it. There is your Green Goblin Mary Jane 2-pack from the Spider-Man VHS figures. Overall, it's okay. There's some good things in there. There's some bad things in there. You guys definitely, you'll have your preference. If this is something that you're looking forward to and this is what you're into collecting, then it's perfectly fine for you. If you need a Green Goblin in your collection and you don't want to shell out the money for the other ones, then this is great. It's going to be just fine for you. Like if you have the retro carded Hobgoblin, they'll match. They'll look fine together. If you don't have a Mary Jane, then this is a perfectly suitable Mary Jane just to have one in the collection. If you have other heads, maybe you got the Renew Your Vows and there's that Mary Jane head in there and you want to swap that out, boom, you got options. So there are options for this. It's good for collectors who haven't had a chance to get those other figures for whatever reason. You have this going on. For those of you who do collect these VHS figures specifically for that reason, or like animated series ones with cell shading, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Being that this is all over the place, like I said earlier in the video, some of these are cell shaded, some are not. It doesn't make any sense. Here's two more good options, right? Or good points. The Spider-Man and the Venom that are cell shaded are on the retro cards and not in the VHS line. So the whole thing is a mess, but it's just, I don't know. I don't even know what to make of it. So I'm personally glad that these aren't cell shaded. They're not going to make it into my collection. Some of the pieces will, but these two figures won't make it in to the main Spider-Man display. But I'm just curious what you guys think about this, those of you who are collecting this, and how all over the place it is. Of course, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Certainly appreciate you being here. Whether it's your first time or you've come back several times, really appreciate that. If you are over on Instagram or you are over on Whatnot, feel free to head over there and check it out as well. But guys, until next time, take it easy.